I don't know how many times I've mentioned this, but I am going to keep mentioning it. Morgan Rogers is one of the best attackers, not only in the Premier League, but on current form. He's one of the best attackers in Europe right now. This guy is slowly approaching 20 goal contributions this season. You 2-0 down against a very young, energetic RB Salzburg team who were fighting to stay and potentially qualify into the last 16. Ollie Watkins goes off injured. You bring on the big guns. You bring on Morgan Rogers. And bearing in mind, Kamara is out injured. You know, Tillemans is out injured. You've got Douglas Luiz and Tammy Abraham coming into the squad. Like Unai Emery, man, this guy is a ridiculously good manager. He's competing in the Europa League, in the FA Cup, and in a Premier League title race, only 4 points off the top of the Premier League. And he doesn't have a stacked squad like Man City, like Liverpool, like Arsenal. He is working within the resources he has. And every single week, he manages to surprise me. Going and beating Newcastle is a very, very tough place to go. He's just done that. He's also beaten Fenerbahce. And now he has just beaten RB Salzburg in 3 consecutive games. They've lost 2 of their last 19 games, including an 11-game win streak in there. The guy deserves huge praise. And for me right now, he's up there for manager of the year. Like, I don't care what anyone says. He every single year, for me, bearing in mind, I've been a fan of this guy when he was at Villarreal. You know, defeated the odds, beat Man United and Arsenal in the semis and finals to win the Europa League. Won 4 Europa Leagues with Sevilla and Villarreal. Won titles at PSG. Didn't really get the time he should have been given at Arsenal. Goes into Aston Villa, and what the job he has done is absolutely remarkable. It really, really is. Make sure you go down and drop a like on the video if you haven't already. And you let me know your thoughts on... Don't know what happened there. On Aston Villa 3, RB Salzburg 2. Make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button as well. It really would be greatly appreciated. We are slowly approaching 100,000 subscribers. We're just under 300 away from 88K. But bearing in mind, the 11 that Aston Villa played had no Tillemans, had no Pau Torres, had no Kamara, had no Rogers in the 11. And do you know what? Salzburg actually gave a really, really good account of himself. That Alobegovic looks an incredible talent. I think he's only like 18, 19 years of age. Konate played well. Onana played well for Villa as well. Mings with a bit of redemption. Martinez with 2 or 3 really big saves in the opening first half. Buendia got his assist. Lovely timed pass into Rogers. Harvey Elliott, for me, like, I need to see more from this guy. He's such a talented player. You know, big fan of his when he was on loan at Fulham, then joins Liverpool, for instance. And it hasn't really worked for him like a lot of people thought it would at Villa. He's barely played football this season. But look at when you got a player like Morgan Rogers, Matty Cash's ball into the box, by the way, for Mings' header is a joke. But Morgan Rogers, man, we need to speak about this guy because I think he's on, is it 17 goal contributions he's on this season, which is absolutely ridiculous. We have to have this guy in the England squad. Like, honestly, he gets another goal tonight. In terms of his output this season, he's got 7 goals and 5 assists in the Premier League. He's got 1 goal in the FA Cup, and he's got 2 goals and 2 assists in the Europa League. So he's currently got 19 goal contributions this season, which is absolutely nuts. And he was the game changer. They brought him on in the 35th minute because Ollie Watkins went off. Hopefully for Ollie Watkins, it's not too big of a hamstring injury. As you can see there, he went off in the 35th minute. But to be fair, Salzburg were by far the best team in the opening 50 minutes. They deserved their lead. The second goal is a fantastic finish. It's a lovely back heel. Martinez, like I said, made 2 really, really big saves. But Konate took the lead, and it's a fantastic finish. And bearing in mind, he's only 21. Their average age today for Salzburg was 20.5 years of age. Like, you got to give them so much praise. They've got our Red Bull in general have got an elite scouting network. They really, really do. You know, Begovic, that Kitano, the young Japanese midfielder, looks like he's going to be a player. I think their oldest player was the goalkeeper, and their oldest outfield player was 23. Genuinely, it's absolutely incredible. But Villa played a number of young players today. George Hemmings, just 18 years of age. He scored. The young Caden Young got an assist. The actual goal scorer was Jimoh, who got the winner in I think it was like the 87th minute. You know, like fair play, because Aston Villa second half deserved it. You know, they go 1-0 down. Yeo scores a ridiculous back heel in the second half early on, and then Rodgers drags them back into the game. You know, fantastic ball in for Matty Cash for Tyrone Mings' header, and then a lovely ball across the box from the young into Jua, and makes it 3-2. But what's really, really vital now is that win has given Aston Villa a top 2 finish in the Europa League, which means they will have home advantage throughout the last 16 quarters and semi-final. And I am putting my hat on Aston Villa this season to go and win the Europa League. They have got everything this side right now. In that 11, in terms of the players fit, you know, and like I said, bearing in mind they were without Kamara, John McGinn, Tielemans, Pau Torres, number of first-team players unavailable. Just beat us in the FA Cup, just beat Fenerbahce away in Turkey in a hostile atmosphere, just beat Newcastle away in the Premier League, currently sit third in the league with Brentford to come on Sunday. And I'm looking at their fixtures. I actually fancy Aston Villa in a lot of these games. Now, look, it's inevitable that they are going to drop points somewhere, but I don't think they drop points against Newcastle. I don't think they lose to Newcastle in the FA Cup. I don't think they lose to Leeds in the Premier League. I don't think they lose to Wolves in the Premier League, and I don't think they lose to Brentford. Bournemouth away is going to be a tough game. You never really know what you're going to get with Bournemouth at this moment in time. But for me, I think there's a lot for Aston Villa to be very optimistic between now and the remainder of the season. You know, when you look at where they are in the Europa League, they're in the top 2. They're in the top 3 of the Premier League. They're still in the FA Cup with a home tie. Their home record this season has been absolutely obscene. You know, they've won 8 of their 11 games in the Premier League. In the Europa League, you know, they only lost 1 game, which was against Go Ahead Eagles, in which was, you could argue, a freak result. In terms of their home record, they won 4 out of 4, scoring 8, conceding 3 in the Europa League. Their away record, they only lost 1. You know, their XG, you know, that was very, very good in the top 10. And there's a lot for Aston Villa to be happy about. You know, they just won their last 5 games in the Europa League. If Matey Boy was an Aston Villa fan, he would have had his haircut from the Man United fan. But you have to give him credit. They've just brought in Tammy Abraham. They've just brought in Douglas Luiz, who's a player who, of course, knows the football club. And I do believe they will go out there and beat Brentford on Sunday. Brentford don't have a fantastic away record. They've got a good home record at the G-Tech. And, you know, Thiago's got 16, 17 league goals this season. But I fancy Villa. I really do fancy them to go and beat Brentford. That'd be an interesting game. That they will know the Arsenal result, who play on Saturday against Leeds. And they will already be playing before Manchester City. So if Arsenal slip up, they could be there to capitalise. And it is a relatively comfortable fixture. You know, Brentford have got some dangerous players. But I fancy Villa to go out there and win that. And you look at their, like I said, their recent form, they should be very optimistic, you know, scoring lots of goals, keeping 2 clean sheets before tonight. Before that, you know, other than the Everton defeat, they beat us. They drew with Palace. They beat Forest. They lost to Arsenal. They beat Chelsea, beat United, West Ham, Basel, Arsenal, Brighton, Wolves, Young Boys, Leeds, Bournemouth, Maccabi Tel Aviv. Then they lost those 2 games and won the 2 before. So I'm not going to lie, they are one of the best teams to watch in Europe right now, and there's a lot to be positive about for Villa. You know, I do maybe think they need to bring one more player in the midfield. It does look a little bit like, you know, Onana's going to have to play a lot of games because of Tielemans, and because of Tielemans and Kamara and John McGinn are all injured, so they're going to be relying on him. But he's a very, very good player. I don't think he has the legs at the moment to keep playing, you know, pretty much every 3 or 4 days. But that's why the transfer window, you still got, you know, it's the 29th today. You've got tomorrow, you've got Saturday, and then the transfer window is closed, I believe. And make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button and let me know your thoughts on Aston Villa. Do you think they'll beat Brentford? Do you think they will go far in the Europa League? I personally believe they'll win it. Make sure you drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. I'm out.